Okay, so now we're gonna look at trim. So trim is necessary if you wanna be able to control your drone accurately, or at least be able to not have your drone fly off your hands and have to have constant position in your joysticks. The first trouble I had with the drone was that it was flying off to the side, and making programming and trying to compensate was pretty taxing. So this function actually helps you with that. So trim just refers to how much you are adjusting uh, your drone. So if your drone is moving to the right, you adjust it so that it's leaning more to the left, and so you're compensating for its natural tendencies. Um, in order to do that, you gotta be able to tell it what you're working on or what you're trying to mess with. So you have three calls to sensors, uh, joystick sensors, right? You're trying to see what they're, whether you're touching them, and we're gonna use these uh, to see what we're trimming. So if you see your drone that's leaning to the left, you will move the joystick to the right, and so this is gonna catch it. Now, while you're doing this, you have to have your finger over the rightmost bottom sensor. That's the LED pin 18 or pin 18. Um, so you hold your finger there, and then if your robot's leaning to the left, like I said, you move the joystick to the right. The first thing that this is going to check is whether you have reset the joystick back to 0 from last time. If we didn't have this check, we could over trim by a lot because of how fast the program is actually doing things. So we have to have this check so that we're constantly checking, okay, has he put the joystick back to 0? And if you have, it's gonna work with the rest of the statements. So there's a bunch of if statements, but they boil down to the same thing basically. You check whether you move the pitch joystick, the roll joystick, or the yaw joystick. If you move pitch, then it's gonna check whether the number is positive or negative. We do the highest really big numbers so that it's not just because you accidentally nudged it in one position, so you actually meant to put it there. Depending on where the number is, if it's positive or negative, then we're gonna check, and this is where this stuff comes into play. We're gonna check if this is the first time since we reset it back to 0, and we're gonna check whether we've done it before. So if we haven't done it before, it's gonna change previous event pitch to trim pitch increase, and it's gonna set all the throttle, pitch, rolls, and yaw to 0, and it's gonna call this function that is gonna take care of the adjustment. Each time you have a up and down and all that just refers to whether you're increasing the trim or you're decreasing it. Again, positive numbers make it go in one direction, negative numbers make it go in the other direction. So if you increase it, you're increasing the tendency to one direction. So explaining this a little bit better, we check whether trim increase is not equal to previous event pitch, and here we're setting previous event pitch to trim pitch increase. Next time through the loop, if we haven't moved our joystick back to 0, like here, then pitch is not going to be equal to 0, and this is not going to happen. So even if it was 90 or greater than 90, once it goes in here, they're going to be equal to each other, and this statement is not going to be true any longer, and it's going to skip it. So if you want to trim, you have to move to that position that you wanted, and then come back to the middle one, and then push it again. So if your adjustments are not enough, you're going to have to do it multiple times. And then we do that for each position. So we can do it for pitch, we can check the negative, and then roll and yaw, and they work the same. They check that consistency, that you're not just holding your finger on there, and then they send a packet for the specific thing you're trimming. So if you're trimming yaw, if you're trimming roll or you're trimming pitch. Sometimes you have to do uh, multiple times. You gotta move from 0 to the left, and then back to 0, then to the left, back to 0, until you get the correct movement that you want from your drone. Now, this might be a little bit off, but the drone keeps the trimming adjustments that you make. So, if you trim your robot and you have it in a good position, every time you turn off the board, it should save it to the drone. So you don't have to constantly be resetting the pitch. However, if you press trim reset, it will take away those adjustments and it will put it back to its original movements. What that means is if you're outside or you're in a room where the sun, like a window, and the sun can hit these IR sensors that we're using to select modes, you could accidentally end up with a case where this happens and it resets your trim by accident. And what this means is that you're going to have to try to retrim it again. So you want to keep your controller at least in an area where it's not going to be affected by the sun or by other things like that. Yeah, so other than that, it's pretty simple. And you can do it for all the sensors. Yeah, so hope that helps with trim.